Hello out there. My name is Laolu Akonde, and you are on to Inside Sources. But first, here is my take for today entitled From Abuja to London and 2027 Elections. Today, in my take, I will focus on these two issues. Number one, the president goes to see the king while Bono burns. And number two, the depletion of PDP and the fate of the opposition next year. So, number one, even if President Bola Ahmed Tinubu couldn't reschedule his date with the British royals, at the time terrorists were killing Nigerians, attacking our soldiers, and suicide bombers resurging terror in Borno, could he not have done something that would represent a form of reassurance to the people of Borno and entire Nigerians before he jetted out from Abuja to London on Tuesday? It's just a question. What could be the options? Number one, couldn't he have done a quick stopover in Maiduguri before going to London on the same day that he left? Or, at the barest minimum, the president could have left his voice in a direct personal message to the Nigerian people that can be broadcast, showing him his body language sympathizing with the pain and destruction that we have seen, including the one that we saw an ad of in Maiduguri on Monday, just a few days ago. But this is not to say the president utterly ignored the situation. That's not what I'm saying. Because indeed, he directed the military high command to relocate to Borno, which they have done quite promptly. However, this is my point, and it's a general one. We seem to have become desensitized, and we are denying aspects of our common humanity. It seems we are getting used to the recurrent series of death and destruction from terrorists, from bandits, and various forms of extreme violence. Many of our people are suffering in various parts of the country. It's like we have been desensitized. And the world is watching us as we are watching ourselves. The sad truth is that with all the glamour and the glitz that we have seen these couple of days in London, the global audience and the local audience is also being reminded of the horror, of the terror confronting Nigerians and the Nigerian federal government here in Abuja. And people of goodwill and those who put more value on human life around the world, they must be wondering how our leaders, that is Nigerian leaders, manage to brand themselves and brand the country on a global scene, choosing to wine and dine in London while their own people, the reason they are entrusted with power, are suffering under horror, pain, and the angst of unrelenting terrorism. We are watching ourselves, and the world is watching us. We are causing the people of the world and people of our own nation to wonder, what kind of people are we? What has happened to us? Look at the excesses of this UK trip, for instance. Several state governors, tons of ministers and aides accompanying the president and the first lady, when clearly not all of them have definite roles to play in the state visits, besides just showing up and join in the alluring aroma as if the whole thing is a shindig. And King Charles III is correct when he said, Nigeria no dey carry last. But even him, the king, will certainly not behave like Nigeria's political leaders of the day. Remember, he cancelled his trip to France in 2023 because of protests there. Let's even concede that the president didn't need to cancel this trip. Let's consider that. But why is it that the sensibilities of Nigerians count for nothing? Why? Let's move along to the next point. The depletion of the PDP and the fate of the opposition in 2027. So if Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State, if he's spotting from PDP and defecting to APC, that will leave Seyi Makinde of Oyo State as the last man standing. That was something like what happened to the incumbent president in Lagos in 2003. I hope our political elites are learning. But the depletion of the PDP and the strivings of the opposition camp in today's Nigeria is telling us one loud truth, and this is it. If you really want to give the APC and President Tinubu a run for their money next year, the opposition politicians must change the paradigm. There has to be a significant shift in the way electioneering is done and in the way politics is mobilized. There is no path to any significant showing of victory for the opposition if all they do is play the same old games. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the Baba Saleh of that game today. Every serious observer of Nigerian politics already knows that. Baba Saleh means the grandfather. The only way to make a change is to degrade elite politics now in Nigeria and find common cause with the grassroots. It is by the opposition trending with sections of the Nigerian population who are dissatisfied with the state of the nation, while at the same time build a political consensus among the gladiators in the opposition parties, a consensus that is based on transparency, such as could be described as almost close to class suicide. That's the only way. And finally, to those in the opposition who are spinning against rotational presidency, Nigeria did not start in 1999. And the attempt to do the arithmetic to say since the Fourth Republic in 1999, Southerners have done more and spent more time in the presidential villa is lame. That attempt is, the truth is that what happened since 1999, when this idea of rotational president was first grounded in the PDP, was a recognition of the perceived dominance of the North in the federal government. That was the perception, okay? And that was why these things started in 1999. But since Nigeria did not start in 1999, Nigeria started in 1960, therefore the arithmetic must start from there up until now. The North has been in charge of the center for over 46 years. And by next year, that is 2027, the South will only have had the same privilege for only 20 years plus. So this is to Mr. Dele Momodu, our senior, and my good friend, Ken Okonko. Let us do our arithmetic correctly. Let us do our mathematics correctly. Nigeria did not start in 1999. We have to start from where we started in 1960. Rotational principle is a national consensus. Inside Sources goes full blast right after this. Welcome back to Inside Sources. Today, we're going to be talking about the president's trip to United Kingdom and some of the dimensions to it. And to join me in that very important conversation, I have three career diplomats who served Nigeria all the way to the top of their careers as ambassadors. All the way from Lagos, joining us virtually, we have Ambassador Olusegun Akinsanya, MNI, who was Nigeria's ambassador to Ethiopia. He was also the permanent representative of our country to African Union and also the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. By the way, he has been a diplomat even between 84 and 90 in the United Kingdom, where this stuff is happening. We'd like to welcome, for the first time, Ambassador Akinsanya. You are welcome to Inside Sources, sir.
Thank you very much, Laulu. I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you, sir. And here in the studio, returning to the Inside Sources is Ambassador Lawrence Obishakin, who was our ambassador to the Republic of Benin. Ambassador Obishakin actually also was the state controller of protocol in Aso Villa, I believe, during the time of President Olusegun Obasanjo. So it's a delight, Excellency, to welcome you back to Inside Sources.
Thank you, Laulu, for inviting me again. It's always a delight to be here with you.
Thank you so much. Joining us for the first time, we have another Nigerian diplomat who has been in service since the days of President Shehu Shagari, right there in the villa. and he served all the way till the time of Abacha, and he rose to become our ambassador to Togo. I'd like to welcome for the first time Ambassador Matthew Adoli to Inside Sources. Excellency, you're welcome to Inside Sources.
Very much. Thank you very much.
All right.
Paolo.
Thank you. So let's start with Ambassador Olusegun Akinsanya. Now, in your view, Excellency, why do you think this trip is happening now, this invitation by the Brits to our president? It hasn't happened in the last 37 years. What do you think has changed, Ambassador Akinsanya?
Well, again, thank you for inviting me, and I also welcome my two colleagues and brothers there. Well, in all the reports, the media reports, and that we've received, it has been described as a historic visit. It's memorable. It resets Nigeria-UK relations, and it's a way of deepening and strengthening the cordial relations that have long existed between Nigeria and the UK, the past colonial experiences, the post-colonial independent experiences, and of course, shared values in terms of language and culture. And all these are been there, and but we have to situate this current visit in the context of the international environment. Things have changed. There have been a lot of realignments, and various countries, either big or small, rich or poor, are trying to find their meaning of interrelationships. And Nigeria and UK have come a long way. In fact, this visit brings a lot of reminiscences to me, because I was serving in the High Commission in London in 1989 when President Babangida visited, and we had our minister, Ike Wachukwu, as the foreign minister. It was quite a memorable visit. But I think we need to look at the context of the fact that over the last 37 years, there have been other visits of high levels. But this is a state visit that was meticulously prepared. And we had also an invitation by King Charles III and Queen Camilla inviting an elected president, and the person of President Ahmed Bola Tinubu and Lady Oluremi to visit the UK. And the visit also was taking place, in Windsor. All the other meetings, when I was it was in Buckingham Palace. But I know that Buckingham Palace is undergoing quite a lot of renovation now. But what is unique from my own perspective is the fact that this new realignments in the context of our relations need to strengthen their new challenges. Britain itself has our challenges since the left Brexit. And this state visit, and from what we saw, it was the ceremonial element was the British traditions at its best. And you can see that the warmth, the hospitality, the mien was something unique. But also, I want to believe that the uniqueness of it comes in terms of the news, the positive news that are coming about Nigeria, the increasing aspects of our economy, the fact that our trade figures have really improved to about 8.1 billion pounds, even though it is still skewed in favor of Britain. But this is an elected president, one who has been a Democrat, And the fact that the news that is coming from Nigeria in terms of the stability of our economy, even though we have tremendous challenges.
Thank you for those opening comments. I'm going to bring it to our guest here in the studio, and I acknowledge that all of my esteemed guests are diplomats. So I know there's also the way that diplomats speak, but I'm a journalist, so I'm also going to be a journalist in the way I'm going to frame some of my questions. So there's the view, and I'm taking this to Ambassador Bishaki and then, of course, Ambassador Adoli. There's the view that the Brits suddenly got keen on Nigeria relationship because of the relationship that we have seen demonstrated globally between President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and President Macron. President Tinubu must have gone to Paris, at least 5 times already, showing a lot of camaraderie between himself and Macron. And there are those who say that the Brits are seeing all of this and they don't want to be left out in the picture. France has a little bit of inroad into British old colonies, and Britain has no access at all to French colonies. So they set up and say, hey, we're going to get our thing back. Ambassador Bishaki, how do you respond to that?
Well, thank you very much for referring this question to me. Well, you always have at least 2 views of any sociological issue. This is about relationship. There's no doubt that our president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, has a special personal rapport with the French president. And that's maybe by hazard or time or by design. However, we must not forget that Nigeria has been the colony of the United Kingdom. We must also forget that Nigeria has a lot to learn. Unlike France, Britain has many nationalities. The Welsh are there, the Scots are there. And if we talk of multi or diversity of nations in a state like Nigeria, it brings conflict. And Nigeria has a lot to learn from this. There's been no doubt. And who will not know the power of the Great Britain, even in the global reach? You see, our people said that no matter how early a child wakes, he will always find the stump on the pathway to the forest. The British have been around for long, and don't forget that their colony is the United States. And as I told you, is a hyperpower, So there's no doubt about it. It may be one of the reasons why they are waking up to this. But the truth is also that the king, His Majesty, King Charles III, has just come to the throne. And it has been almost 40 years. Nigeria has not had the most glamorous visit to the old metropolis. State visit is the most glamorous, as I said in my book. That's when they bring out the horse-drawn carts, the military decorated, the beefeaters, which are retired people, and also
very serious glamour.
Yeah, it is. In fact, it's the most glamorous of all the 5 diplomatic visits that I have on record. It's the most glamorous. And it costs money. And it also is a sign of friendliness. You don't invite your enemies for state visits. And you don't have many state visits. Nigeria doesn't have more than 2 or 3, for example. France also. So it's a mark of friendship and esteem given to Nigeria. You don't have many. One of the hallmarks of state visits is that you don't have many of them.
And clearly, based on what you said, the Brits must have a big reason for doing this at this time.
Of course. Money too.
Okay.
Nigeria is a big money.
Okay.
Our demography, the youth demography, and what our fintech is doing. We have one of the best. I can reel out the figures. Right. We are really doing fine.
I agree with that. Okay. Let's bring it to Ambassador Adoli also. And, it's the same question, but I'll just frame it in another different way. Do you think, in addition to all that we've said, that the effect and the impact of Brexit, that's Britain withdrawing from the EU, as it puts the Brits in a situation where, they are really looking for such a huge market, such as the one they have in Nigeria? Excellency.
Thank you very much. Naturally, Britain would not want to be isolated economically in the world. they have to deal with Europe on a newly defined economic relationship. But then with Nigeria, they have to look into Nigeria, up to Nigeria, in the sense that, one, they were our colonial masters, and they will not want any other nation to take over from them in terms of economic relationship that is viable. Nigeria, as you know, is the economic power of Africa. And there's no country in this world that would not want to associate or deal with Nigeria as a powerhouse, economic powerhouse of Africa. So it is in the interest, in their interest and our interest, to work together, to do things together as it has been since Nigeria was amalgamated. They cannot afford to do without Nigeria. So the truth is that, like the president visited London, a lot of economic roundtables, business roundtables have been held. A lot of investment promotions have been discussed. Exchanges have been made. And for instance, like Zenith Bank has established a presence there. They are also anxious to come and invest in Nigeria, knowing fully well now that our democracy is stable and the president is doing a very good job in Nigeria. Let me tell you something. As President Tinubu is, with his personal personality, anywhere in the world he indicates that he wants to visit, the president or prime minister of that country will quickly clear his table to receive him, and vice versa.
Why is that?
Yes, because...
Why do you say that? Why do you think any president will want the Nigerian president to visit?
Yes. But you have seen examples from the Arab countries and many other countries, because the president, one, knows his onions, he knows how to market Nigeria, and he has created a conducive environment for investment in the country. Not minding the fact that we have insurgency, which is not peculiar to Nigeria alone. It's all over, and we are mastering it. We're on top of the situation. So anybody would like to come and invest in Nigeria with a lot of diverse resources.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I think we're going to go one more round of questions and then we'll round up. So we take it to Ambassador Akinsoya. Now, I want to ask you how you think, other world leaders, other countries will view what is happening, this particular visit. And I want to situate it within the context of the relationship between France and Britain. France and Britain has always been quite a bit of rivals. As a matter of fact, I'm going to recall what Professor F.S. Notedge was a professor of international relations from the London School of Economics. This is what he said about the relationship between France and UK, especially during the First World Wars. He said of France, now he is a British professor, and he said of France, he said, France to the British is a friend not to be relied upon and an enemy not to be feared. I'll say that again. This is Professor F.S. Notedge, a professor at the London School of Economics. This is what he said about France in relationship to Britain. He said, France is a friend not to be relied upon and an enemy not to be feared. So my question to you, Ambassador, is that how do you think other world leaders, starting from France, will view this show of love, from the Brits to Nigeria regarding this visit?
Well, that's a very loaded question, and I'm sure that it's something that will attract a lot of interest here. In terms of the varied colonial experiences, both countries had a great in Africa in terms of the Francophonie and, of course, the colonial experience and shared experiences with Nigeria. and you view this alongside with the Francophonie, the French-speaking countries, and Nigeria in terms of experiences. Of course, the French, in terms of their colonial experience, is more of direct rule. They make as much as French as possible. And in terms of, if you situate this along the line of Unilever and CFAO and SCOA that had their grip in those two countries, the economy of most of the West African countries, Francophone, with Nigeria is more than it is France. So this I would say love-hate, the rivalry relations has been there in terms of our relationship with Africa and the role that Nigeria played in ECOWAS and others. In fact, there was a time that people like Senghor and Houphouët-Boigny, who are proteges of the French, were saying that, ECOWAS is a no-go area at the initial stage. But when they realize that they are going to make a lot of money out of the integration, they change their ways in terms of Senghor, Houphouët-Boigny provided some support. Well, what I'm trying to draw from here is that the rivalry has been there, and with the situation of Britain now and UK getting out of the Brexit, new alignments are very important. And we have seen this in coming into play in terms of what is now happening. Even in the US, in terms of the ongoing situation with Iran. I mean, you can see that the US is not happy with UK and other. So these are realignments. But in terms of these realignments, you need new friendship. You want to solidify and deepen and strengthen your relationship with countries that you have common interest and shared values and shared institutions with. So I don't see, a lot of people would really be looking at even China, our friends, and then of course Brazil and others, that Nigeria is, President Tinubu has visited, even Turkey, they will have their reaction that, oh, Nigeria is a country to now do business with. Nigeria is a place to go. There will be reactions. There will be mixed feelings about what is unique about this country. But of course, in terms of our demography, in terms of our development, in terms of the diaspora engagement, Nigeria is in a very good state with Britain, with UK. And this is what is likely to come out of this visit in terms of the way other countries will see Nigeria, that Nigeria has come, that all that is being said about religious problems, Christian, Muslim, that is misplaced. I mean, you can see that in this visit, we have our lady, the First Lady, Tinubu, going to address the Lambert's house. And these are some of the things that are novel approach to international solidarity that is coming from Nigeria. And people will take a cue. There are quite a lot of people that would believe that, oh, well, I mean, what is unique about Nigeria? We thought that is hard, but it's not bringing out the strength of Nigeria in terms of the population, in terms of our geopolitical significance in West Africa, our role in ECOWAS, the peace efforts that we're making. And I think this will attract some interest. And also the fact that, this meeting that UK, spreads, bring out the best in their traditions, which has not happened in terms of other state visits to Britain.
Right.
So it will arouse some jealousy. It will arouse some interest. These are positive issues.
Okay.
That Nigeria is great. Nigeria is ready to do business with. And Nigeria has come out as a country that you cannot ignore in the international arena.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Excellency. Let's bring it to the studio as we begin to conclude. I'm going to ask Ambassador Adoli, and then Ambassador Bishaki will conclude. So beyond the glamour and all the glitz, the cultural displays, certainly the Brits have they've gone to very long extent to impress President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Nigeria. There's no doubt about that. Beyond all of that, what do you think will be the net benefit to the Nigerian people, Ambassador?
Well, the net benefits to Nigerian people are many and unquantifiable. In the first place, apart from the ceremonials, Nigerians in London will have their morale boosted to continue to bring home proceeds of their investment, to come and invest at home, in the sense that the president has gone there, they've seen the enthusiasm in him, they're aware of the positive economic reforms the president is doing at home, the reforms that will stand the test of time, and they want to be part of it. Because President Tinubu is laying a solid foundation for the economic development of this country. He is promoting political stability, and that is why you see that apart from the Boko Haram issue, there is peace among Nigerians.
Excellent. Important point. I'm taking it to Ambassador Bishaki now, and I wanted to ask that, you are a diplomat, you've worked in the Villa States Controller of Protocol. The opposition has said that the timing of this visit is a little bit off. As a matter of fact, one of the spokespeople of the opposition said that the president ought to have cancelled this trip because on Monday, we had suicide bombers, explosions in several places in Maiduguri, and almost 20 people died and over 100 injured. And I think it's not a right time for the president to go to UK and be riding carriages with with the King of England and all of that. What would have been your counsel, to the president if you were there? Because you were actually the state controller of protocol to President Obasanjo.
I was director of protocol. The having state chief of protocol was my boss, Ambassador Hussein. Now, I want to express my and my people's deep condolences with the people that died as a result of suicide bombing last Monday in Maiduguri. That being said, see, this visit has been arranged for long, and the king is inviting you. And with all due emotions, we must solve our problem. President Tinubu is not going to enter the armored vehicles, and he has dispatched the service chiefs to go there. And our valiant soldiers have really ruined, to a great extent, those who caused that havoc. But I think after all is done, because the visit will be over, usually state visits don't take more than 3 days, actually 2 active days. And there are a lot of proverbs that says this, that once the curtain is lowered, the play is over. We all go really to face our realities. And I think the visit of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is relevant, because don't forget, the British faced the IRA and they were able to resolve it. The British, the French, I remember I told 1978, Italy faced the same thing, the Red Brigade and all this, and they were able to resolve it. I believe the chief, our defense minister, went with him. Some people say he shouldn't have gone. I think he should go. The service chiefs are there. And if they cannot fight and do their duties as we all did our duty during our time, then why are they there? It is good to play to the gallery. The opposition, with due respect to them, they are doing their duties. But I think there's better ways of doing it too. there are better ways of doing these duties. We should not just play to the gallery. The fact is that the millions that are being brought to Nigeria through the negotiations that is done now, we need it. Also, we need intelligence. This war is an asymmetric war. And the British are very good at intelligence services. And that's why we must have as many friends that will help us, but we must solve our problem at home. The saboteurs within our armed forces should be dealt with. And those who are using religion to go and call for what kind of jihad, it is not our interest. Nigerians don't kill themselves. Thank God the Sultan has spoken that, look, it is not in Islam to kill people. All those people, the Northerners, especially the leaders, should bring them out, disown them. I believe these are not Nigerians. They are foreigners. We know when somebody opened all the gates and say everybody should just come in. And now look at what we are facing. We must be very careful. People say that when it rains, the rain that fell suddenly makes people to pen both the house fowl and the pigeons. Otherwise, they don't sleep together.
Thank you so much. I'm going to extend it because Ambassador Adoli wants to comment, and then I'm going to ask Ambassador Akisoya to have the last word on the same question. Ambassador Adoli, just a minute.
Thank you very much. I recall that in December 1983, like I told you, I've worked with 6 heads of state at the Villa, State House Lagos and the Villa. In 1983 December, Shagari was going to India. We had taken off already, getting close to Delhi, when we were told that net was on fire in Lagos.
Okay.
And we effected the state visit seamlessly. It's unfortunate that the opposition, they don't look beyond their nose.
So your point is that, Shagari was already mid-air.
Sure.
Sure. But in this case, the opposition is saying that he didn't leave.
They don't even know how to analyze events. What do you think the world will think of us? That President Tinubu is already in London or on his way to London, an incident occurs in Nigeria, and he turns back from Britain.
No, the world would laugh. It happened before he left.
Yes, because this is something that has been programmed months ago through the normal diplomatic channels, and the world will laugh at us if we do not go. Currently, the service chiefs are in Maiduguri. The vice president went there yesterday. All arsenals to combat insurgency are on ground and are recording positive results. Why is the opposition always on edge? They are afraid of the election. Let them please leave President Tinubu alone to do his work.
Okay.
President Tinubu is there to represent the whole country, even representing the opposition. So when they talk like that, it means they are afraid of the election. Let them prepare for election instead of always criticizing Tinubu, when he's doing the correct thing, and that is a blunt truth.
Okay.
He must have his term up to 2031. All the efforts they are doing to sabotage him will not work.
All right.
Please tell them.
And you are certainly entitled to your
bring it out,
to your views, and it's quite exciting. But we're going to ask Ambassador Akisoya to have the last word. A lot of people felt that the president did not show enough sympathy. Yes, he did direct the military high command to relocate, and they have done that very promptly to their credit. But the opposition says that, look, this is very serious, and they haven't seen the president, that they even think that he should have cancelled it. Last word, Ambassador Akisoya, please.
No, I think we need to be circumspect. Opposition will have their say, but of course we must look at things in its proper perspective. The visit could not have been cancelled. Mr. President not only issued a statement, condolences to all those who lost their life, but he immediately deployed the service chiefs into the theater, and we have seen some results. This visit was meticulously planned, with interministerial meetings, with a lot, and who will beat the events that took place yesterday? It's an event that everyone will be proud of. With the ceremonial elements, with the queen, with the king issue, as somebody who had participated in issues like that, I mean, one would be proud to be in Nigeria. Mr. President will not have cancelled that visit, and he will be back, more invigorated, more armed, because Kestama is meeting him today and 10 Downing Street. The defense issue and how to address our security is top on the agenda. The National Security Advisor is there. The Minister of Defense is there. I think our opposition should begin to look at the interest of Nigeria. The interest of Nigeria is what is important, not the personal interest of, oh, why doesn't he do this? Of course, the president is the president of Nigeria. He has a responsibility to reset the agenda, to deepen and strengthen our relations. And this is what we have done. I believe that this visit is very unique and it's economic diplomacy at work.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Ambassador Akintoye, for that last word. And thank you, Ambassadors Obishaki and Adoli. Thank you for coming to Inside Sources.
Thank you very much. We're always available.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so much. Now I'm going to be going to the conclusion of my conversation. Go ahead, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Ambassador Akintoye.
Thank you, Laulu. And as I said in my intro, you and the channels are doing a very great job in terms of bringing our career people that have served this country diligently and meticulously to comment on very topical national issues, because we are experiences that can be shared. And I think Channels is doing a good job in that respect. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Akintoye. Again, thank you, Ambassador Obishaki and Ambassador Adoli. Thank you. Yeah, and that's a segment. The second segment, I'm going to conclude my conversation with the former managing director of The Guardian on what is happening in Iran and also preparations for 2027. Inside Sources will be right back. I wanted to ask you, right now there are 4 Nigerians who we know are interested in the 2027 race. There are 4 of them that we know. The president himself,
Yes.
his party men have been going all over
And
the place.
nobody is likely to contest.
Exactly. Saying that they have given him second term already and all of that. In the ruling party. And in the opposition, we have at least 3 candidates. From the south, we have Mr. Rotimi Amechi. We have Mr. Peter Obi. And then in the north, we have Alhaji Atiku Abubakar.
Yes.
Let's start with the president. I mean, whom you had a meeting with, alongside other. How do you think is preparing for that election, considering some of the things that he himself has said in the past? 2 things I will highlight to you, and then we will respond. He said that, look, and I think he even told you guys that, look, we asked for this job, and we know it's tough.
Yes, tough.
I think he even said that.
Said so.
Okay.
Said so.
That's one. So that people shouldn't pay. And then he said during the campaigns in 2023 that if he doesn't solve the power problem,
And they have been sharing the newspapers that published all those things.
he said that if I don't solve the power problem and even make sure that you guys get, you don't pay estimated billing, that when I come out to vote, don't vote for me. Against those 2 backgrounds, I want us to do some kind of analysis, psychoanalysis. How is he? Because clearly, he hasn't achieved. We are still struggling, with power. We don't have power. Not to even talk of I don't know the situation with estimated billing, but there's no power.
Yes.
So, what's your reading of his? Let's do a psychoanalysis of how he's going to go into that race with that baggage.
Here, I want to believe that we still do not have the civic competence within the populace. Civic competence, the kind of civic awareness, the understanding that the word of these politicians
is supposed to be sacrosanct, that we are supposed to hold them to account for the promises that they have not fulfilled. I believe that we do not have that voter education that they are talking about within INEC and voter education. And the political parties, now, who should be doing this? You know, this thing was brought out from the social media. They did some data mining and brought out the promises that were published on the front pages of 6 newspapers that everybody is sharing now. That is trying to spread some awareness. However, regardless of my own claim about civic competence that we still do not have.
Yeah.
But then, this is a wake-up call for not only for the political leaders, for us in the media and civil society to hold these, our leaders, and this particular leader to account. Because I was just joking before we even started this thing that how many members of the so-called elite, the business class and all those things like that can even afford to put on this cooling system. Whether it's the refrigerator at home or your air conditioner, even if it is because of the cost alone, it's not even about availability. The cost, it is not even available. Even the newspapers that you see today, you see people are talking about the implication of this energy crisis that you see now. I sat down the day before yesterday in a place in Lagos. Within an hour, they had power outage about 13 times. It was just going and come where they had band A. In other words, we do not have. And then there was a signal that was sent. I don't know how many people are reading the signal. And I think that the last count now, the office of the president, the State House, the permanent secretary went to the National Assembly public hearing on appropriation for 2026 that they had invested 17 billion. Last year, they invested 10 billion for the solar energy system. For the villa. And this year, for the villa.
Getting out of grid.
Yes, and then this year, it will be 7 billion. So, about 17 billion. Now, for solar system for the presidential villa alone, not for Abuja. So, what is... We have to juxtapose this one with the promise to give the country electricity for the industries to function and for even the people to function effectively, for people to live, so on. So when you juxtapose this, that the office of the president is going to be disconnected from the national grid, is what of Abuja, what of the MDAs, what of the federal bureaucracy generally?
Not to talk of the people.
Maybe we should begin to ask, if not the president, begin to ask the president's agent, that is the minister in charge of power, who we have read is also eyeing.
I mean, I get your point, Mr. Lodger. Let's focus on the president. We're talking about the election.
Yes.
I want to ask you, what do you think he will say? Because it's clear he wants to get a second term. You know, you and I even believe that the way they run Nigeria's politics, like you said, you'll probably get it. But how do you think he's going to confront the electorate with the fact that he has failed shabbily on the question of power?
I will not focus on what he will say because I will not be able to speculate. I will rather focus on the media, what we should ask.
Okay. I get your point.
You see now?
Yeah.
As a politician, he will have something to say. He will have an escape route. But we should be asking ourselves in the media, how should we confront him with that question?
Okay.
Of how his promise, he has less than a year, and this is the situation we have found ourselves in. He has disrupted the economic architecture, and now he's saying that he is getting more revenue.
Well,
how are we going to ask the contextualization I was giving you that in the office of the president, the presidency, what we call the presidency, is not just the whole presidency. The presidential villa, which is now outside the original 3 arms zone. That place alone is going to consume 17 billion, and from that they are going to disconnect the office of the president. We do not. He is the president. He needs security. We need it.
Yeah.
We, the people, too, need electricity. How he is going to explain that one to the people? I am disconnected. As long as I have this mandate, I am going to use. No, I have used. I've budgeted 17 billion for solar energy system. What of the Federal Capital Territory? What of the people within the Federal Capital Territory? What of the people in the 36 states of the Federation? How are we going to do? What of the industries? How are they going to? It is, I will, instead of concentrating on his answer, instead of speculating, I will rather ask
it should be put to task.
It should be put to task.
Excellent.
That I'm talking to members of the opposition.
Right.
You know that to get power from somebody in power in Nigeria, the incumbency advantage is there. And this particular grandmaster, the way he's organizing his politics and the game plan now, it's not easy. So they should bring something more profound
to the table.
And even mobilize the young ones who are very knowledgeable, very fast, very sharp-witted now. Before they get them to their side, the opposition should bring facts, data to the table for us to be able to make up our mind.
Okay, because of our time, let's round up the conclusion. And I want you to talk about those three candidates that we have so far. Now, I will make a comment and then you respond and then we close it.
Yeah.
So we have Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, we have Rotimi Amaechi and Peter Obi. Now, I have a fundamental concern about rotational presidency. I believe that with due respect to the former Vice President Abubakar, his insistence in running in 2023 is the most significant factor in the death and destruction of PDP. This is my view. Now, if the ADC makes the same mistake and, say that, oh, look, we're going to throw it open, I think it will be the way they will destroy ADC, because I think that issue of rotational presidency is getting entrenched in our mentality. After 8 years with Buhari from the north, I think people are saying that give us 8 years in the south. So that takes me to the second part, and then you give the final conclusion. So that leaves us with Amaechi and Peter Obi. Now, I think if the opposition were serious, those are the two people that you ought to be pushing out. And if there are other people from the side that you want to push, look at Peter Obi. Well, he did very well, in the last election. Amaechi came second in the APC primaries. And whatever you say about the Buhari years, which I was a part of, people know that, one of the major things that happened in that administration is the advance in infrastructure. And so Amaechi was the guy behind it for the most part. So they have two good candidates in the South that they ought to be pushing, that they are not pushing. And there seems to be this, everybody believes that, look, this thing is just going to be a coronation for Atiku Abubakar. I think that will destroy the opposition. Your comment?
No, definitely, I can't disagree with this analysis. It's just to even, just to look at it this way, that, well, this rotational issue is for us now like fundamental objective, and it's what they use in building peace in Nigeria.
Yeah,
within the system.
Yeah,
it was
actually the PDP.
The PDP, and then that was what this Hurricane Wike used.
Yeah,
and that was why his campaign against his own party candidate at that time was successful, and he was going around the world to campaign against him. That look, we cannot get another northerner, another candidate from the north to succeed.
I think it's insensitive.
Yes, that is insensitive, and that was why that campaign was very successful, and that it helped the APC candidate at that time. The campaign of Wike against,
of course.
Yes, we knew, we don't want to talk about where Wike was coming from, that he also wanted to be candidate, wanted to be running mate. Yeah. But when he held on to that argument, that no, it was successful and it helped. This way, I am not too sure that these people have learned some lessons from the background you just gave. That, look, if Atiku Abubakar, former vice president of this country, is not a small boy. He has this political stature. He has the networkers all over the place.
True.
But the elements at this time, I think people may be tired. I don't think he can get. That is my own view as an analyst.
Right.
That I do not believe that he can get enough vote against the person who is completing, who is rounding off his first term in Nigeria now. This grandmaster is possible but not expedient.
Not expedient, and I like that. Thank you so much. Free advice to the opposition.
Yes.
That if you play the game the way Nigerian politicians play the game, you cannot beat Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
You cannot at this time.
The only way to play the game, if you want to have a contest against Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is to change the dynamics.
Yes.
It's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Martins Oloja. We're going to be having more of these conversations as we move close to the presidential election in January of 2027. Yes. Thank you for coming to Inside Sources.
Thank you very much.
Insightful contribution.
Thank you.
And there you have it, another edition of Inside Sources. Like we always say, Nigeria will prevail. It means Nigeria will win, partly because we will keep raising the major issues. My name is Laolu Akonde, and by the grace of God, I'll see you at the next edition. Thank you for watching.